Somebody else used all the batteries up. I can probably do this without this one. I'm an old orator, I like to hold something. And we said it in the real world, so a lot of people get away with a lot of controversial subjects by creating a fantasy or sci-fi universe. And that gives you a fig leaf that you can hide against, but we really like real world history, so we thought we'd put it in a version, alternate history version of our world. And obviously the smartest decision was to use the real world Abrahamic religions, because those never cause any controversy. And it all shows. As you can see, as Mike said, he was continuously frustrated how namby-pamby and childish stuff he had to do for Diablo. So we could use the actual stuff we wanted to do in this game, because there was nobody wiser telling us otherwise. The second mistake was that we took no investor money, we had no company backing, which means there was no reach, there was no angle, there was nobody to do the legwork for us. But there was a good reason for that. We didn't want to give away any creative control. One of the first discussions I had with Mike, and I said to him, look, we are going to lose all our time and every penny we put into this. I'm in if you're okay with that. And Mike just went, yeah. And then I invited the right partner. It's the James, I don't know, didn't even ask you, sorry about it. I hope it did. So we would carry all the risk ourselves. We'd seek no outside help that was non-creative. So yes, we've used collaborators, we've used artists. You've probably seen the Paul Connor's artwork, many others. Mark Gibbons is working with us. Dave Gallagher, legendary John Barnes. But nobody outside of creative spheres was working with us as we created the game. Jamie joined us later to run Kickstarter, but that was when we already had it. And again, so the marketing wasn't there because there was nothing in the beginning. So what we then ended up with was there was nobody wise to advise us, was things like the people making pilgrimage to the lake of fire and burning themselves, and a horrible mutated flies that would keep their victims alive as part of their body. So somebody with some common sense would probably stop us, but there was nobody with common sense with the team, so I don't know. Let's carry on. There's lots of other mistakes we did. So we, again, to this day, I haven't quite figured out why some people got so pissed off with us. I have no clue. I can't usually. The video is going to be incomprehensible. There's a saying that the Shakespeare had is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And I quite often, when you get these pieces, on the internet, just following. He's very angry. I don't know why, or what he's trying to, how we would fix this. Because the other thing is that you get these people who get very upset. They never offer any better alternatives. Because I'm a huge game fan. If you can do it better than I can do, please do it. I want to play your great game. But if you're just shouting at somebody on the internet, I don't know how much of a deal it is. So, but these people have a lot of following. So we got all sorts of things. They were always full of LGBTQ flags for whatever reason. Again, I've never figured out. I was actually, when this all blew up, I was fast asleep, and I traveled up to sleep. Okay. But the common wisdom says you don't want to piss these people off. But then lots of other people started making videos, and they started getting thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of views, and they were not attacking us. They were really, really happy about the game. And we just went, okay, is this much better? So I guess the end result is that again, this was nothing. Remember, we had no marketing strategy. We didn't reach out to any influencers. A lot of you that are sitting here have made great videos. We are super grateful. But especially since it's sincere. It wasn't about the money, it wasn't about coercion, it wasn't about rubbing somebody's back. The people just got enthusiastic and they wanted to do all this creative stuff. So we dodged a bullet there. Mistake number 4, it's another thing we got flack for. It's the Islamic and African factions. I did ask once, this guy showed this I was working at PlayStation, I won't mention names, but I showed what I'm doing, and he just pointed at the Abyssinians and the Iron Sultan and said, don't do that. I said, because they're really cool. There is some incredible history and iconography that is solely underused in all the gaming industry. But we didn't want to do either a Disney-fied glory version or a you're born evil because you're born in some part of the world. My mantra was the legend of pander not slander. So that allowed us to at least try to do them have authenticity. And we even tackled quite hard subjects, like historically, the Janissaries is the Ottoman elite soldiers, they were slave soldiers. It's pretty dark stuff. But you can cover even hard subjects in fiction if you actually know what you're talking about. And we put a lot of effort into research, and it's been great. These guys are really popular, not only with the usual wargaming crowd, but also with the people in Turkey, people from Ethiopia, who are really into what we're doing, and I take a huge pride in that, because it's very easy to take the wrong turn when it's not a culture you grew up with, even if you have good intentions. And again, the game is very grimdark. We did not want to present anybody either as a sort of a sugar-coated, idealized version, but something that would fit in the world. And to me, there is no greater validation than seeing people, whose cultures you included. I enjoyed it. The Ethiopian war prophet, it's the Jubasi captain. I'm still using both words. Jubasi means, in essence, captain, so it's captain. But of course, Jubasi isn't your everyday use word in English language. But there were more mistakes. So basically, with very finite funds, our choices for artists, sculptors, and writers were extremely limited. Like John Blanche, obviously I made several products and games with him, but to even consider hiring him would be many times more than all the money we put in the game in total. But we just said, anyway, let's ask them. I mean, hey, they can say no. And all of them said yes. It's been super great. It's get to do another game with John Blanche. The last one was more fun to do this again. I couldn't even dream about it. David Gallagher, who is an absolute legend, Jess Hanley, now Mark Gibbons, obviously. We sold out all the Paul Bonus art. I think that tells everything you know about that. And that allowed us to make the book look like we like it to. But there are still more mistakes. So I wanted to know early on, A, were the rules right, and B, would there be any resonance with the fans? The best way to do it, I thought, was to give the rules away for free. And I know my gamers, so if they don't like the rules, they will tell you. But instead, and of course, in order for them to play, we had no miniatures, so we just said that you can now and forever use whatever miniatures you want. And that's how we got people playing. They started playing, and the game started running tournaments, and they started communities all over the world, and they started running events, and they started running the clubs, and I thought, okay, it worked. I guess I can build upon this. And for some reason, it's the Trench Crusade couldn't follow it. So much, in fact, that as soon as we announced the Kickstarter, we went to the most popular forthcoming crowdfunding project in the world and never left the #1 spot. Thank you. And there was a really tough competition, like big IPs, big companies. So again, we went, okay, we did something right. So a bit of a disaster. So we invested about 70k. That's because even that is probably Mike had to eat some of the crackers for a couple of months in order for us to pull that off. And we used $0 in marketing, and we are now well over 6 million US dollars in sales. However, to me, the more impressive number is the 30,000 backers, which shows that if the stars align and you capture lightning in a bottle, you can actually command a significant number of people. But even more amazing is that there are way more people who join the community once they no longer could cap the Kickstarter. So the communities kept growing and being super active and being incredibly enthusiastic like I've never seen in my career. And I've been making games for 30 years. Like, I'm not spring chicken, so it's a very unusual thing to see. The people keep making videos, they get huge number of views. There are people that I actually love it. There are these hour-long the videos about people reading our lore aloud, and they get lots of views. I'm just thinking it's really cool somebody does this, but maybe it'll get 20 views. But clearly there is a demand for long-form lore with actually no videos, which makes me actually quite hopeful for humanity. So that's where the campaign ended, but that obviously wasn't where it stopped, because it's been rolling happily along ever since on the My Mini Factory, showing absolutely no signs of dying down. But then we wanted to make more mistakes. So one of the best things to me about this whole project has been that starting with the Westphalia, we've been able to work with some of the really talented indies. There are people with world-class talent all around this country that they have everything needed skill-wise, but the challenge, of course, is to get visibility. Now, we've been blessed with having such a supportive and enthusiastic community, and this has given us an opportunity to give other creators more visibility, let other people discover great people like Westphalia, and hey, hopefully give them a chance to get some support from the gamers, which allows them to do really cool stuff in the future rather than trying to keep the wolf at the door, away from the door every month. So our first collaboration, which has done extremely well with Westphalia, is a good example of how we did collaborations. There was no plan, it's just the Westphalia guys were so enthusiastic about the Trench Crusade that they made their own conversion, one of their own models, that went very viral, and then we saw it and started sharing with each other, and we got really enthusiastic that this is awesome, we love this, and then we get to talk and said that, hey, let's do a collaboration. This is still a while away, but I think they got to 500,000, but obviously that's before late pledges and the packer kit. And again, it isn't about so much about the money, but getting so many eyeballs seeing what else there is in this great hobby. Because as much as I like my big companies, I've been the D&D DM for 28 years, I love my D&D, doesn't mean that that's the only game you could ever play. Before we go to the future, for a lot of you have come to me and you want to create your own games, own miniatures, it's the own lore. What do you take from our success? So we decided to put passion, pride and creativity first, and we knew there were risks and we were willing to eat them. Like we had to do Mike at Blizzard, me at PlayStation, a full day of work every day, and then a second full day of work afterwards. And that's because we really wanted to do it. If you have that urge, I'm not telling anybody, by the way, to work that much. That was stupid. But too late. It's better. It's easier to ask forgiveness than permission. So find something that you are passionate about. Not necessarily try to copy what we are doing, because you probably have different interests, the different things you're passionate about. If you really like little cute animals killing each other, then you should make a game about those little cute animals killing each other. Because if you're gonna go through all this trouble, why take somebody else's idea? So find a vision that works for you and your team, because that's another thing. If any one of us would have given up in the middle, there'd be nothing. So you have to find people who actually want to be with you for the long haul, and find the people when I say talent, something that whatever they draw or paint or sculpt or write or do rules, it's that you think are awesome. It's that's the path to success. Because if you don't believe what you guys are doing, then nobody else will either. And then let's come back to the artillery bridge. So everybody knows. So I think it's interesting how the ship became the symbol of the Trench Crusade. Again, there was no plan. It is just something that all the fans gravitated towards. So let's look at what became very popular. You have an artificial woman, made in hell in a factory, that the opens portals is the impulse bombs that she chucks on unsuspecting fools, and then everybody loves her for it. To a disturbing extent, there's a lot of demand for an artillery which body pillow. There's this lovely lady in New Zealand who is now doing an outfit which goes that we're sponsoring her. And she's doing an absolutely amazing job, as you can see. But I think that this is very much a symbol of our success. That it is just a design that was not calculated. How can we get people enthusiastic about it? It all came from the grassroots. So I think it's very fitting that she's the poster girl of the game. So let's talk a little bit about the future then. So of course we're only getting started. Of course we could have we're going to deliver a Kickstarter, hopefully within the next month or two, and the books later this summer. And sure, we could take the profit and run, but I don't think you guys backed us so that we do that. I strongly believe people back us so they can see the future, the next kit of law, the next miniatures, the next art, and not that this will be a one and done, a flash in the pan. So we want to do more collaborations, not only because there is only so many miniatures we can produce quickly, but also because we want you to see and meet all these wonderful creators. The rulebook for the Carter's Front campaign pack is coming. It's well on its way. We have a really cool idea of this three-dimensional modular map that you played over, so you get a lot of replayability. I am super excited about it. I've always been a big believer in the map-based campaigns. We are committed to bring you the models ourselves for all our war bands, including all the sub-factions. We want to do all of them. And most importantly, we've said lots of things in the past. We are never going to give up on those principles. So let's look at them. Here is, by the way, a first glimpse of the rulebook. So we have this wonderful the book artist called Spiridon, a absolutely obsessed Greek guy, done a lot of famous art books. And of course, you've all seen the work of our graphic artist, the Viktor Pushkarev. By the way, I want to give him a shout out. He's a very principled Russian guy who left Russia as soon as the war started. And I'm super happy to work with not only somebody so talented, but somebody so principled. And the collaborations, we are gearing up for something big. So while we are focusing ourselves on the Kickstarter, we want there to be new Trench Crusade stuff. Because if we paid our attention purely on a new product, instead of making sure that the backers get their stuff as quickly as possible, that would slow it down. And we really want everybody to get their models and their books as soon as possible. But luckily, it's the great people at the Creaturecaster is stepping in. So the Red Hunger is our next collaboration. It will be a new sub-faction for the Black Rail. You can see their first concept models at their stand here in Adeptacon. So go and give them some love. It's the great people. I love them. But we are doing our own models as well. So we are keeping the biggest news a secret, but you can see here Lloyd from our miniatures team is happily working away on something. Maybe you can get some clues from the screenshots. But one of the most common questions we of course get is that what's the next model, when it's coming, what it's like, how it's going to be made. We are not quite ready to tell all that, but these maybe give you some quick clues on what's on the horizon. Let's go back to the principles of our company. So these are the things that no matter what would happen with the company, I would rather drive the company under than give up on this. So no fear of missing out. So if we do a model, we are not going to tell you that this is the only time to get and give us money. It's never going to happen. We are not going to do exclusives unless it's something like the Lino prints we have, which it's a physical limitation, so you can only get so many prints. But we love that kind of handmade stuff. So, but anything else, anything is to be produced that can be mass produced, we will never take away from people just to try to make money. We will always keep our game miniature agnostic. One of the greatest strengths we've had for the entire project is that every day you go to in any of our forums, somebody has done something amazing. Simply because we don't demand you have to use our models. It's super inspiring to us, and because there's only very few of us. We can't generate all that content. Our fan base does 99% of the stuff you see. And that's what keeps the enthusiasm and the community going. I've always believed in that. The miniature agnostic game is also important to me, that I was once a very, very poor lad in Finland, and I wanted to get to wargaming. It was really expensive. So we always want to keep our rules available for free and keep the game miniature agnostic. Because if you don't have that much money, all you need is you download the free rules, all the lore is available for free. Get a, I don't know, $20 box of the War Games Atlantic. You'll get all the war guns you want out of that you can play. That's what I want to achieve. I'm obviously hugely grateful for the people who supported us. And our plan always was that we'll make miniatures that you want to buy, rather than miniatures we force you to buy. I believe they should be so good that you want to have them yourself, and not because we tell them that you can't have the competitions or the play-game tournaments. It's the honest we provide. Besides, I want to see all the conversions, because it's one of the best things when I wake up. So, that is my presentation, but I've always wanted to say something. And since we are in America, one more thing. I always wanted to do that. So, the Trench Crusade world map is by far our most requested piece of lore that everybody's waiting for. So, it is my great pleasure to tell that the great Jared Blando, that you might know from all those wonderful D&D, Magic the Gathering and Lord of the Rings maps, will be released in social media immediately after this presentation. And we are looking, there's a lots of Latin on the map. We are not going to tell you what it says. We want you to figure it out. So once we finish Q&A here, it's our wonderful Gina and our collaborators on the social media space will be sharing the Trench Crusade world map. So here it is. Excellent. So I wanted to keep this relatively tight, so there will be plenty of time for questions. So maybe would you be my glamorous assistant, and the people put up their hands is the microphone, and let's hear anything you want to know about the Trench Crusade. And it can be not just about game design or lore. We have Mike and James here, so we can answer pretty much any question. We might answer some questions, but we don't want to tell it yet. We should be put your hands up, be brave. So there are people there.
You mentioned earlier on specifically the Iron Soul is what's part of the process of what primary sources have been used for, what resources?
Okay, so I have several Turkish friends. It's I talk to about the culture in general. I'm an Islamic scholar, so I asked him a lot of questions. I gave him a conclusion. It would take a rest of my life to get to know another deep religion like so fully. So I definitely at the very, very high level of basics, Christians to screw up. And we've given to a lot of the Arabian speaking people and the historians. I have several people who are in history as well, and study military history for a living, and we let them read it through and read a talk. I am a voracious reader. The Mike loves to do the research for everything as well. And we usually just put it all together. It's do it, let other people read it, get some feedback. And there's been cases when we've done something, when somebody from a cultural ethnicity or country we covered said, hey, this isn't quite wrong. And we just go, oh, sorry, we'll fix it. That's the beauty of the living world. So, but the base answer is a lot of reading and a lot of opinion of experts. Small habits. Maybe you can do it faster that time. It was taken by God and it is no more. One of my favorite bits in my book, which obviously is a cornerstone of the Western culture, and we foolish to ignore its influence, is how one of the patriarchs, can you remember the name, Mike? The patriarch is the who was taken by God. Elijah, yes, Elijah, who walked with God and then was no more, and I always loved the line. Now, I can't remember writing the line, I know I did it, so maybe there was some inspiration, but I also loved it when I read it in the Bible, because I said, what happened? Well, let's move on to the next patriarch. And I think a good lore leaves some room for your imagination. Totally understand it's easy, but if you start dissecting the myth, it dies on the operating table. And I don't want to explain everything. Sure, we will delve into depth on a lot of lore, but it's always important to remember that all our lore is written from an unreliable narrator. We do not have a all-seeing narrator, not even us. We don't consider it either. We like more, again, using Tolkien's terms. When he wrote his books, he just was traveling around this world and describing what I see. So, Faramir, he wrote in length, but he said, I did not create Faramir, I made it in Italy. It was surprising. This is the angle I want to take. So, as for what happened with others, I think your answer is as good as mine. More questions, please.
Yes, I really enjoy the fact that it's alternate history and it kind of branches off of our current timeline. Specifically with Gregor Mendel and the Mendelist order and the Antichrists. And I just want to ask you, and maybe Mike, what was your inspiration behind the Metachrist and the communities in general?
Yeah, you should pass that on to Mike, because the Metachrist is Mike's original idea.
I'm not really sure what the inspiration was. I just thought it would be like really sick.
You should see some of the reference boards that Mike has. This would explain a lot. There's a couple of hands maybe passing, then get into the back rows as well. Thank you. Please.
Sorry. I guess, so there's one thing, so me and my friends are really big into like alternate history as well, and originally my question was, okay, what happened with Genghis Khan? I see the golden Khan on there.
Yeah.
But another question I have, so one thing that people have noticed is because, here in this kind of war, there really was no colonization movement or anything like that. So do you guys plan on doing anything in the Americas or like the Native Americans or the Aztecs and stuff like that?
Yes, I mean, our plans are not yet fully formed, but we have an artist that for example, from Middle Americas, who actually comes from the right background, that we will be really excited to work with. I think it's really interesting to see how the new world will develop without colonization. There are still people from Europe there because of the trade, because we thought we can't have a World War I without cigarettes and potatoes. The nostalgia. We know that, for example, Britain have some overseas territories, for trade, which are now cut off. It will be very interesting to study what happened there. But the honest answer is, we have only some quick sketches and discussions, and we want to do it properly. Just like with Iron Sultanate and all the other parts of the world, we don't want to rush it and do some half-assed job. There were more hands. Maybe we give some chances for the maybe more in the back as well. There were maybe a circle like this. Please.
Are there any plans in the near or distant future to create books or a series about that?
Absolutely. We are trying to figure out what's the best way to do that, because we have no clue of the sales, and we would want any offer. Like, for example, I have a lot of good friends. Ray McNeil is doing some fiction for the room, for example. But we want to make sure that those guys, writing a big novel is a big task, and we want to make sure that there are sales that allow them to eat. Make it fair. And we are trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. It's in a sense that because we have no idea how many copies we could sell, and books are never going to be like that makes or breaks the business. But we would want any fiction author who works with us that it's worth their while, and we are trying to suss it out. But we absolutely want to and will do it. It is just a matter of us finding how can we do it that we can take care of the creativity, because we don't want them to take over us. Thank you.
I have two questions. One's kind of short, the other more serious. One, because colonization doesn't happen, does that mean the dodo didn't go extinct?
I actually would like to see a dodo made by Mike. You might regret that. You might regret what he's probably sketching it now.
And the more serious question is, I saw that there's a Vatican-based space group.
Yeah.
How far have they actually gotten into space, or is it just they say they want to?
According to our current knowledge, they've gotten to moon. That's how far they've gotten. You have to remember that unfortunately, war has been always a main spur for technological development. Like the Trench Crusade does have technology that goes beyond World War I. Because in real life history, this is exactly what happens. Unfortunately, we are really good at inventing new ways to kill each other, and that tends to also drive the civilian side. But there is one sketch of Mike's on the what's happening on the moon that will need a little bit more refinement before we release it. But yes, we'll deal with the Earth first, and then expand to the space. But I always answer the question about that one is that the God moves in mysterious ways, and in this case, up.
Obviously the artwork is already iconic, but when it comes to releasing new things, are there any plans or anything that you want to do that has to do with animation, or maybe that's not just static picture? Just animation in that sense.
I would love to see that. The honest answer is that a full-on 3D animation studios beyond our financial means to fund ourselves. That's the reality. But I could see that if there is somebody very talented, and very passionate, like happened. What's the 40K animation that was done? Yeah. Maybe something like that will come. Would we like to do it? Hell yeah! But again, it comes to that we don't want to go to a professional animator and say that we'll pay you 10 grand a year. That's not enough for me. I mean, making in a way that it would be good enough. Right now we are on the means. If we ever get that big, absolutely. I mean, both May and Mike and James, all of us would love to do some. But I'm also quite optimistic, because I definitely do not think that we've reached the limit of Trench Crusade by any stretch of imagination. And the better it does, the more resources there is, and more cool stuff we can do. So I am extremely optimistic about seeing Trench Crusade animation one day, one way or another. Yeah, please.
Yeah, a bit of a two-stage one.
Yeah.
But the first question is, one of the latest events that have happened is the assassination of the three kind of powerhouses that drove the Christianity stuff.
Yep.
That's, for myself, it's quite a power balance shift. Do you have any kind of things coming forward that may rectify that, or another game is going to be like sticking to the status quo?
Now, I would say that let's say we are at the year 1914, and I know exactly what you're saying. And when we go forward in timeline, I hate the nothing can change. I understand why it's done, but I don't think that's very good for storytelling. So let's say, and I'm pulling like the most extreme example, like if we and when we move the timeline forward, maybe New Antioch falls. I mean, it would be truly catastrophic. Maybe the faithful find some way of actually taking the battle to live on. I would hate to do eternal frozen conflict. If you look at our timeline, we allowed because the heretics have been gaining ground, and yes, they've been beaten back several times, and there has been a counteroffensives. But in general, you can see on the map that the heretic influence. You can see here is the Rijeka beachhead. There is the anti-pope Avignon. There is the invasion forces, the taking over the Spain and the North Africa, and of course the heretics rules the seas. So they have been pushing it forward, and that is deliberate. Of course, again, if the gate of hell opened and then nothing of interest actually happened afterwards, it would be lame. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, just the other quick one, hopefully, is would you consider in the future having player-based law movement, so like tournaments and stuff, that the outcome may affect the future of the actual world itself?
Yeah, but it would have to be done such way that it can be real. I mean, this has been done, and many times games companies have done them, and then the community does something unexpected, which I love, and then they just nullify that. So it would have to be designed in a way that it wouldn't be too easy for us to go back. Because I'm a big believer of going out of my comfort zone when I do creative stuff. It's the instinct is of course to not to rock the boat too much, but actually rocking the boat is usually when interesting things happen. Hopefully that answers the question. There was some, let's take it to the forward a little bit since there were people waiting here for a while.
What is the impetus for creating new sub-factions and variant lists? Because obviously there's you may have, for instance, there's a ton of them, other factions may want to, is it just what happens to sort of spur you to create that?
Yeah, so the big one to me is that I am trying to find a new way to play that you have to apply different tactics, different list building, and a different approach to the game. I really like the idea that you only need to learn roughly the 6 main factions, and then you can fight against almost any sub-faction. Of course, the faction clothes, I've gone through that many times with Warhammer when I was doing it. It can be really tough on the fans. So the sub-factions really are that there is a combination of really interesting culture and a core game mechanic that they can own that makes them interesting. So if you look at each of the sub-factions, there is always something unique about the way you play them. Even if the change is very small, it usually means that you play the game differently. So I'm continuously experimenting with what mechanic, just single mechanic, would change an existing list. And then the other thing is that we find something very interesting and evocative, like from history. I mean, some of them are easy, like as soon as we decided to do the Sultanate, you gotta do the Assassins. I think Assassins are the coolest idea ever. I think people would be very disappointed, me included, if they were none. And of course, the rules write themselves. You have the classic Alpha Strike Force. You try to assassinate the powerful enemies before they get the first turn out. But if you don't, you're in trouble. And that's how the assassins work. So that's usually the thought process behind the new sub-factions. Yeah, please, there were more in the front. And then we can go back. Yeah.
Obviously, you guys are getting your bearings with what the game is as of now, but I'm assuming as you go, there's chances are you're going to include other versions, like maybe a more masked battle version of the game, where you're charging into trench lines, machine guns, and maybe including like a naval version of the game or whatever. Is there any idea on that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously doing a full battle game is a huge time and the money investment, and we want to do the core game right. We absolutely want to do vehicles because after the map, the second most requested thing is tanks. And we get it. I mean, we are passing like tank pictures every day because there was, in the First World War, since they didn't know what the tank yet was, they made these batshit crazy prototypes, which we love, and we want to bring those in. But of course, we have to be mindful with the core game that the skirmish game with a tank, it's like a dragon in a game of mode, right? It's just way too much. So these would have to be like special scenarios, and we want to get the rules right. Naval battles, absolutely want to do them. We did hire Andy Chambers, so maybe we can have echoes of the battlefield Gothic somewhere there. That would be great. And we definitely want to do scenarios using the heretic raiders versus the defenders of the moving fortress of Britannia doing boarding actions. I really want to do boarding action scenario. So yes, for full games, that's a big ask, possible, but we are talking about multi-year project there, which we don't want to start obviously before we make sure that this game is well supported and is going strong.
There's someone
Yep. Were there more questions? Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So my question is, I've heard the door whispering. How do I knock on
How do you knock on the door when you hear the door whispering? I would think outside of the box. I would not knock on the door. Bring in an offering. They make a song or a dance in front of it. Maybe a little open.
Love the art of the game. It's been kind of a big draw for me, just seeing just so like R-rated, and I guess my question is: has there been anything made that you've chosen not to release to the public, or has it all just been fair? Just like
there is one model we decided not to release because we didn't want to screw up any of the jurisdictions. There are probably stuff that Mike doesn't show even us because he's really speaking. But no, in general, anything, it's the only reason we reject something is that we don't think it's good enough as in quality. But even the most extreme stuff, it's we just said that if we get a reaction out of it, that's good because the world is right now, especially gaming space, full of very safe, very, very generic stuff that it takes no risks. So if I go, oh, Mike, what have you done? That's a good thing. Because at least I felt something, and I don't want to, because I love World of Warcraft, but not every single thing in the world has to do about World of Warcraft. And right now, it mainly does. And it's a bit of a shame because all these talented artists are maybe not getting a chance to do the kind of creative breakthrough pieces that I think they are capable of. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Because everybody else is doing it this day.
Is there a desire to open the base outside of the 3 gaming regions?
Yes. There is again here like we would love to do, we were just talking about, for example, Tibetan Buddhism. But again, in order to do something that is not just like, the usual, I'm going to get a tattoo, oh, it's a local Chinese menu. It's not going to be really embarrassing. We don't want to do that. So if we do that, we want to do that, but when we do that, we need to do proper research, to get experts that can help us, because I find like the Buddhist version of hell is, man, it's dark. Like the Dante has nothing. They go and Google it, and they don't do it if you just eat it. Like brutal. But again, it's culture that I grew up in the Judeo-Christian the society. I understand the references, the names. I know the stories. I don't have that knowledge, so I would have to acquire that knowledge first. I can't subvert something that I don't understand. Subversion has to be a no. Sure. So hopefully, but we need to do a lot of reading. Yes, do we still have time for more questions? I have no idea how much time we have.
All right. First, I want to say thanks for succeeding with all this AI slop and constant remakes. It's nice seeing something original. Now for the annoying fanboy question. There's a lot of confusion with Black Grail fans because there was talk of a Red Hunger variant. Now there's a Great Hunger variant. Are they the same thing, or is Red Hunger still coming?
This was more sort of the creature caster that we were collaborating with. They had a vision they were passionate about, and unfortunately the names were very close to the test list I got. So they are different, but I am not going to have two variant lists with very similar names. So the once I get the other one done, I have to change its name.
So in other words, the Red Hunger is still coming, just under a new name?
Just under a new name. And this is more that when I'm working with other creators, I want to lift them and not push them down. And they had a vision and they put a lot of work towards it, and I liked it. So it was easier for me to change something that's still embryonic, rather than the make my collaborators is to be cool and awesome.
Well, I'm sure there'll be much rejoiced on the Black Grail Discord once I tell them.
Sorry I'm not there so much lately, but Adeptacon, finishing the book, finishing the Kickstarter, I've been somewhat limited with my free time. Any more? We still have a little bit of time. Yeah. So we know it's the one fell. It's the fighting one of the hegemons. It's the second one is the lost in battle. We will cover that in time. And the third one, is rumored to have turned to the side of hell. There is also theological discussions in New Antioch that because there is an old heretical version of Christianity that said, for example, that Judas worked with Jesus' knowledge that he had to betray him in order for there to be salvation. So there is also some talk that yes, he went to the side of hell, but actually betrayed them. But as for us, for creators, we don't know. You know as much as we do. It is strongly rumored that one of them went to the side of hell, and Mike's expressed keen interest to make a hell paladin, which also I want to see. But we will absolutely return to the subject of the paladins, because people absolutely love them. By the way, everybody asked me why we did them so big. If you read the actual the myths and the stories about the paladins of Charlemagne, they were average 15 to 17 feet tall, big dudes. I just said the same thing as the historians say. Must have been eating a lot of porridge in the old big boys. Next. Anyone in the back? Maybe we should give a chance to somebody in the back. You?
I already asked one.
Yep, see you in a bit.
Yeah. Maybe get new people where we can. What is the current state of the road? Good question. So we've actually been in that area. We've been doing some bits on Wallachia. I actually am not sure if Romania has named back then. We've been using, if you look at the map and the heraldic devices, because the history went differently. A lot of countries either never broke up, or they never were formed, or they used their older names, or they used the same names as us, but it actually means very different things. Because if you study the history of the languages and place names, there are like places that have a name where every bit of it means hill in a different language. So the place's name is hill. It's so it's a complete crapshoot on how names end up. So we will have more stuff on Wallachia. It's might be dueling. But I would say Romania maybe doesn't exist exactly like in our time, or be called that, but we will be covering the area. There was a lady here in front who had her hand up, so
So, not Trench Crusade crushing, I hope that's okay, but you keep bringing up a reading. Do you have books you recommend? I know it's a long list, but...
Okay, so since I'm a Finn, I'm going to recommend something. You can get it. It's our greatest historical fiction writer was Mika Valtari, and his book Dark Angel is about the siege of Constantinople. One of the best books I've ever read, and that is for very much the sort of the feeling I want to convey when you're playing the game or reading the lore. Magnificent book. It's a book, a historical fiction and a romance story. It's the all rolled in one. He's the greatest author, in my opinion, my country ever produced. So that's one that I recommend. I'll try to pick up those. Obviously, everybody says Lord of the Rings, and I too, but that's not a very. Probably everybody's read it as many times as I have already. Other books, it's the interesting one. Well, if we are with Tolkien, it's the Lay of the Children of Borin. I like tragedies. It's a good one. The best ones I've read. I read a lot of The Eagle in the Snow. It tells about Roman legions, the last stand on Rhine, and again it's that last desperate defense is the theme that I return again and again. And it's very much like the Trench Crusade world is a desperate fight against a seemingly invincible foe, where I think that it's real heroism when you think you're going to fail, but you still the show defiance. What else? I mean, I love so many books. Yeah. I mean, all the classics, obviously. By the way, it's there is one. It's the good one. So the Master and Margarita is by the great author Bulgakov, which tells about the visit of Lucifer into Moscow during the Stalin's reign. It's an absolutely brilliant book. It has a talking dog. Talking cat that has a SMG. It shoots at the police from a. It has a great dance ball that the Satan holds for all the sinners every year, where you have to be naked. Brilliant book. And it's riotously funny, but it's 3 stories. There's a love story between a writer and a woman. There's the Satan's visit to Moscow, and then they do the entire life of the Jesus, Yeshua HaNoshri, but from the point of view without no superpowers. It's his power of redemption comes from his humanity. Brilliant book and very relevant if you are sort of looking at the inspirational pieces. So there's some. I could talk for hours. 2 minutes. Last one question is my glamorous assistant can speak pick, so then nobody can pick.
So I gotta say, thank you for creating a game where I can dial up the deviant that I am.
Yeah.
And second, I have a question about the catharsis related to that. Like, it just, for some reason, it makes me feel so much happier.
Yeah.
Can you explain this?
I can. They did a study back in Finland, where I come from. We suspected that listening to death metal, and that Finland is the death metal capital of the world. Like, we are way more death metal fans per capita than anywhere in the world. And the liking horror, body horror, it's the watching horror movies, reading these very dark and grim books. We did a study because the theory was that it's really bad for you. Commit crime and you commit suicide, and they found the opposite. Like, the most law-abiding, well-adjusted, is the happiest people are the ones who are in the darkest possible things. And obviously, I'm not a psychologist, but if I'd have to guess, I think that maybe it's a safe way to deal with, because all of us have darkness inside us. It's the reality of being human. And being able to deal with it through entertainment and stories and the art, rather than going out on the street and cutting people's throats, it's probably good for you. At least, well, that's what the data says. So, I think there is something to be said about the actually not being ashamed or afraid of lying, like the things that many people consider quite horrific, because the data says it's actually good for you. Okay, you've been a wonderful audience. It's the Enjoy the Con, and any other questions? Thank you.